Hi, today. So I'm going to cover a somewhat unique topic, and that is what is going to convey with the home when the property sells and what does not convey. So the real difference between the two categories is what we call real property, which is the home and the anything that's attached to the home. And personal property would be items that are your furniture, for example, that are not part of the home. There are things that you can pick up and take with you when you move. And a really easy way of thinking about this is if you were to take your home, turn it upside down, what are the things that would fall? Those would be considered personal property. The things that would not fall, fixtures, things that are fixed to the home would be considered things that would stay. So that's a really easy way of running it through a test as to whether it's considered real property or personal property. I'm going to show you, though, the paragraph within the purchase and sale agreement today that outlines this, because there can be some confusion that comes up around this at the when we head towards closing of a transaction. And I'll show you how the purchase and sale agreement reads around this topic. So this is the purchase and sale agreement, and I'm going to scroll up here and just show you paragraph 5 here is referenced in the other plate down below. I'm going to show you here in a minute. And paragraph 5 talks about the included items. So when a seller is selling their property, they will go through the appliances that are going to be staying with the home with their listing broker. Their listing broker will fill these in on the listing. And then when the buyer broker goes to write up the offer, they then tick the boxes as to whichever ones are applicable. Also know that as a seller, a buyer can negotiate with you. If you say, hey, I'm not leaving the refrigerator, and the buyer adds the refrigerator in their included items list, and essentially they're writing in that the refrigerator is going to stay. So you have to be careful about this paragraph, because people can easily slip something in, and if you're not paying attention, you could sell your refrigerator when you didn't mean to. So, but anyways, I just wanted to show you that because it is referenced in this paragraph below. So I'm going to read this. It's fairly short. I'm going to read this, and then we'll discuss just a little bit further, expand upon this. So it goes on to read, any of the following items, including items identified in specific term number 5, if the corresponding box is checked, located in or on the property, are included in the sale. So they're just talking about the appliances that we just looked at. If any of those boxes are ticked, then that is those are considered to be staying with the home. Built-in appliances, wall-to-wall carpeting, curtains, drapes, and all other window treatments, window and door screens, awnings, storm doors and windows, installed television antennas, ventilating, air conditioning and heating fixtures, trash compactor, garbage disposal, fireplace fixtures, lighting fixtures, shrubs, plants, and trees planted in the ground, and other fixtures, and all associated operating remote controls and access permissions. Unless otherwise agreed, if any of the above items are leased or encumbered, seller shall acquire clear title before closing. So most common ones that we see would be propane tanks and hot water tanks. Those are often leased property, and unless otherwise negotiated, the seller agrees to acquire clear title before closing. So essentially, making sure that those leases are terminated, and those items are to stay with no lease, or like essentially buy the lease out. So the real point of this paragraph in this video today is understanding if you have anything unique going on with your home. I've had people say, hey, my mom gave me this rose plant and I really want to take it with me. Well, we need to know about that so we can tag it, number one, and then put in the exemptions in the listing that the rose plant in the front yard with the orange tag on it is not going to convey. And another popular one would be light fixtures. Sometimes people, got a very special light fixture, or or something along those lines that was handed down from a family member, or maybe they made themselves, and they're going to replace it with a standard light fixture prior to closing. Then we'd need to make sure that the one that's there is exempted, and we would let them know what kind of light fixture we're going to be replacing with. Another popular one along these lines are like ring cameras, security cameras. Those have become really popular as of late. That equipment is screwed to the wall or screwed to the exterior of the home, and so if you want to be taking that stuff with you, we need to make sure that we cover that and exempt it as a part of the listing. Otherwise, it's just assumed that that is going to stay. So one last little piece of this story, and this is one that I get from time to time, and that is that a buyer will say, or a seller, sorry, a seller will say, as we're getting ready to close on a property, they'll leave some items behind, some typically stuff in the garage, maybe some leftover paint and some roofing materials, maybe, or something along those lines. And then the buyer will come and do their final walkthrough, and the buyer will say, "Well, I don't want that stuff. Seller, I want you to make sure that you would take that and dispose of it as you should via the purchase and sale agreement." And the seller will say, "Well, geez, when we bought the place, we just, that was there when we bought it." Well, unfortunately, if it's something that you didn't want and you ended up inheriting it, it's probably because your agent or previous broker didn't advise you well along those lines. And you, as the buyer, have the right to have the home free of trash and debris. It's embedded in the purchase and sale agreement. The only things that are supposed to convey are the things that we just talked about, and or any of those appliances in the appliance section. So if you inherited some old paint, or you inherited a barrel of oil, or whatever it may be that the previous seller left behind, it doesn't mean that you can just leave that behind for the next buyer. The next buyer, if they're being represented well, will pick up on the fact that there's items there that should be removed, and they'll make sure that those items are removed before they close on the property. So it is a small detail, but it is one that comes up from time to time. And it's one that we do see that there can be some bumps in the road at the very end of a transaction if this isn't covered up front. So anyways, if you have any questions about any of this, of course, feel free to reach me. My cell phone's always the best place to get me. Feel free to call, text with any of your questions that you may have. That's 206-949-3793. We'll talk to you soon.